Hello, my friends. I am the Midnight Echoes. Settle in, let your body sink into the mattress, let your eyes grow heavy. This is your time, your quiet hour, and I'm here to guide you through the darkness. Before we begin, if you find comfort in these stories, remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Let me know, where are you listening from, and what time is it for you? Now, close your eyes, breathe in, breathe out, let the world fade. It's late, past midnight. I'm alone, driving on a narrow, unpaved road that slices through empty countryside. The only light comes from my headlights, two pale beams carving tunnels through the black. On either side, fields stretch out, silent and dark, the sky above a blank, starless void. I'm tired, so tired. Home is still far away, and the isolation presses in like a heavy blanket. I try not to think about how alone I am out here, but then something. A shape on the side of the road, hunched near a patch of weeds. My headlights catch its eyes, and they shine, two bright points, almost animal, but not quite. Too upright, too still, I slow down, foot pressing the brake, heart thumping. As I get closer, I realize it's shaped like a person. My hands jerk the wheel left, gravel crunching beneath my tires. The car slides, back end fishtailing, but I manage to keep control. I don't hit it. The car comes to rest, half turned, engine idling, headlights spilling across an empty field. I exhale, shaky. The figure is behind me now, lost in the darkness. I want to check the mirror, but something tells me to look at the front first. My bumper scraped something. I don't trust my car not to be damaged. The idea of opening the hood out here, in the dark, makes my skin crawl. But I have to check. I have to know what I saw. Parking brake on. I step out, boots crunching on gravel. The night air is sharp, damp and cold, and the earth smells wet. My shoulders are tight, every muscle braced. No insects, no wind, no sound from the fields. Just the weak glow of my headlights, stretching out over dirt and bushes, a crooked fence far away. I turn, peering back into the darkness where I first saw the figure. There, a shape, standing where I swerved, the eyes again, reflecting light, but now there's no obvious source. I shield my eyes fitted from the glare, but the figure is too far into the dark. I can only see its outline. It's taller now, not crouched, unmoving, perfectly still. I open the hood, shining a small flashlight from the glove box onto the engine. Radiator, hoses, belts, all intact. The engine idles rough, but nothing looks broken. I just need a moment to calm down. My heart is racing, breath shallow. I force myself to slow down, to breathe deep. Sweat prickles my neck, even though the air is cold. I keep glancing over my shoulder each time I look away, then back. The figure is closer. Not by much, but it moves when I'm not watching. At first, it's 30 yards away, then 20, then less. It never walks, never steps forward when I'm looking. It just appears, closer each time. I slam the hood shut and back up until I feel the car door behind me. My hand shakes as I open it, eyes fixed on the figure. I slide into the seat, lock the doors. I don't know if it matters. The figure has no tools, no weapon, just a strange hunched posture and those eyes that catch the light. I try to pull forward, straighten out, but the front wheel is stuck in a ditch. The car shudders, tires spinning. I try reverse, then forward, rocking the car, but it won't budge. Each time I check the mirror, the figure is closer, 10 yards now. I hit the high beams, hoping for a better look. The figure's head jerks away from the brightness. Now I see more, human in outline, but the clothing is loose, undefined. The face is pale, the eyes unblinking, reflecting light like polished mirrors. Its body is thin, arms hanging low, knees bent inward. Its chest rises and falls, fast, shallow breaths. I can't hear it, but I see the motion. I try to speak, voice trembling. "Hey!" I shout through the closed window. No answer. It doesn't move, doesn't make a sound. Maybe it can't hear me. I crack the window, yell again. "Do you need help? What's wrong?" Still nothing, just silence. I reach down, feeling for the tire iron under my seat. My fingers close around it. It's not much, but it's something. I try rocking the car again, reverse, forward, steering hard. The engine whines, tires grind. After a few tries, the front tires climb onto level ground. Relief floods me. I look up. The figure is 5 yards away, standing in the beam of my headlights. Its lower face is visible now, mouth closed, jaw rigid, skin dry and pale. I throw the car into drive and press the gas. Nothing. The rear tire is caught. My heart hammers, legs stiff, arms weak. I press harder. The engine revs. The car shudders, but it doesn't move. The figure is right there. I see one hand, thin, long fingers twitching. It stands silent. I can't hear breathing, can't hear footsteps. My headlights and engine are still on. I lean over, open the glove box, grab a folding knife, slip it into my pocket. If I stay, I'm stuck. If I get out, I have to take my eyes off that thing. Every time I do, it gets closer. I try backing up, turning the wheel. My neck aches from tension. I try not to blink. The car jerks backward, a bump. I turn forward again. The figure is leaning against my driver's side window. Its eyes are bright in the reflection of my interior light. Its mouth is open now, lips thin and cracked, nostrils flaring as if sniffing the air. I yell, dropping the tire iron. My chest tightens. I grab the iron, hold it up, arm shaking. The figure presses a hand to the glass. Long, thin fingers, dull, white nails, rough skin. I bang the iron against the window. "Get away!" I shout. It doesn't flinch, just watches, eyes reflecting the light, not shining on their own, just impossibly reflective. I hit the horn. The sound explodes in the night, echoing across the fields. The figure tilts its head, then steps back. I seize the chance, slam the car into reverse, stomp the gas. The car rolls back 10 feet. The figure stays put. I turn the wheel, drive forward, bouncing over uneven ground. The figure follows, walking slowly, never running, always silent. 20 yards between us now. My neck and shoulders ache from tension. I keep driving, headlights searching for any sign of a real road, a way out. The figure follows, steady, relentless. I pick up speed. Eventually, the figure becomes a shadow in the mirror, shrinking, fading. My hands are slick with sweat. My stomach is tight. I focus on getting away, not thinking, just driving. Minutes pass. The figure disappears from the mirror. The fields are empty. The only sound my engine and the crunch of gravel. I force myself to breathe, to calm down, but my heart still thumps, mouth dry. The road straightens, and in the distance, a faint glow. Maybe a main road, maybe a farmhouse. I keep moving, steering shaky, eyes on the light. I don't look back. I don't stop. I just drive, away from those eyes, those hands, that silent figure in the dark. The road finally smooths beneath my tires, the gravel giving way to cracked old pavement. My headlights catch the faded lines, the promise of civilization. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding, shoulders slumping, every muscle trembling from the adrenaline that still pulses through my veins. But the fear lingers. It clings to me, sticky and cold, like the mist that's begun to creep across the fields. I check my rearview mirror again, half expecting to see those eyes, that pale face floating in the darkness behind me. There's nothing, just the empty road, swallowed by night. I try to convince myself it's over, that whatever I saw, whoever I saw, is gone. Maybe it was a trick of the light, a sleep-deprived hallucination. But I know what I saw. I know how it felt. The silence, the way it moved, impossibly, only when I looked away. The way it watched, patient and unblinking, as if it had all the time in the world. I drive faster, eager to put distance between myself and that lonely stretch of road. The radio is off. The only sound, the hum of the engine and the soft thud of my heartbeat in my ears. My hands are still tight on the wheel, knuckles white, as if letting go would mean surrendering to the darkness. The sky is changing now, a faint line of gray on the horizon. Dawn is coming, slow and reluctant. I pass a battered sign, illegible in the gloom, and realize I'm close to home. The familiar landmarks start to appear, a rusted mailbox, a sagging barn, the outline of trees I've known all my life. The world feels safer here, but the memory of that figure clings to me, refusing to fade. I pull into my driveway, the gravel crunching under my tires. The house is dark, windows blank. I sit in the car for a moment, engine idling, headlights illuminating the front porch. I half expect to see someone or something waiting for me in the shadows. But there's nothing, just the quiet, the stillness, the soft chirp of crickets waking with the dawn. I kill the engine. Silence rushes in, thick and absolute. For a moment, I can't move. My hands rest on the steering wheel, fingers numb, as I replay the night over and over in my mind. The figure on the road, the eyes, the way it moved, always closer, always watching. I force myself to get out, legs stiff and unsteady. The air is cold, heavy with dew. I walk to the front door, keys jangling in my hand, every shadow suddenly deeper, every sound sharper. I unlock the door, step inside, and close it behind me, leaning against the wood as if it could keep the darkness out. Inside, The house is silent. I move through the rooms, turning on lights, checking windows, making sure every door is locked. My heart is still racing, fear simmering just beneath the surface. I tell myself I'm safe now. I'm home, but I can't shake the feeling that something followed me, that somewhere out there in the darkness, those eyes are still watching. I make my way to the bedroom, peeling off my jacket, kicking off my boots. I sit on the edge of the bed, head in my hands, trying to breathe, trying to calm the storm inside me. The room is quiet, the only sound the faint ticking of the clock on the wall. I lie back, staring at the ceiling, letting the exhaustion wash over me. My mind drifts, replaying every detail of the night, the road, the figure, the fear. I close my eyes, but sleep doesn't come. Every time I drift close, I see those eyes, that pale face, hovering just beyond the edge of darkness. I try to remind myself it's over, that I'm safe. But the fear is a living thing, curling in my chest, whispering that it's not finished, that it's only waiting. The hours pass, slow and heavy. The sky outside grows lighter, the first rays of sun creeping through the curtains. I sit up, rubbing my eyes, feeling every ache and bruise from the night before. I move to the window, peering out at the empty yard, the quiet street. Everything looks normal, peaceful, but I know better now. I make coffee, the familiar routine grounding me, the warmth of the mug steady in my hands. I try to shake off the night, to convince myself it was just a nightmare. But the memory is too vivid, too real. I can still feel the weight of those eyes, the chill of the air, the silence pressing in. I sit at the kitchen table, staring out the window, watching the world wake up. The birds begin to sing, the sun climbs higher, and slowly the fear begins to fade. But it never really leaves. It lingers, a shadow at the edge of my mind, a reminder that the darkness is never far away. As the day goes on, I try to lose myself in routine. Chores, errands, the familiar rhythm of life. But every so often, I catch myself glancing out the window, scanning the shadows, searching for any sign that I'm not alone. The world feels different now. The darkness is deeper, the silence heavier. I wonder if I'll ever feel safe again. Night comes too quickly. The sun sets, the sky darkens, and the fear creeps back in. I lock the doors, check the windows, turn on every light in the house. I try to tell myself it's just nerves, just exhaustion, but I can't shake the feeling that something is out there, waiting. I lie in bed, covers pulled up to my chin, eyes fixed on the ceiling. Every creak, every whisper of wind sets my heart racing. I close my eyes, but sleep is elusive. I see those eyes, that face, every time I drift close to rest. The hours drag on, each one heavier than the last. I check the clock, 2:00 a.m. The house is silent, the world outside swallowed by darkness. I try to breathe, to calm myself, but the fear is relentless. I hear a sound, a soft tap, barely audible. My heart stops. I sit up, listening, every muscle tense. Another tap, closer this time. I hold my breath, straining to hear. The sound comes again, a gentle rapping, like fingers on glass. I force myself to move, to get out of bed, feet cold on the floor. I creep through the house, every shadow a threat, every sound a warning. The tapping grows louder, more insistent. It's coming from the living room window. I stand in the doorway, heart pounding, staring at the curtains. The tapping stops. Silence. I wait, afraid to move, afraid to look. Slowly, I cross the room, each step heavy, the floor creaking beneath me. I reach for the curtain, hand shaking, and pull it aside. There's nothing there, just the empty yard, the darkness pressing in. I let out a shaky breath, relief and fear mingling in my chest. But as I turn away, I catch a glimpse, just for a moment, of something pale, something watching from the edge of the shadows. I freeze, heart racing, unable to move. The fear is back, stronger than ever, wrapping around me like a shroud. I close the curtains, back away, and return to bed, pulling the covers tight. I try to tell myself it's nothing, just my imagination. But I know what I saw. I know what's out there, and I know it's not finished with me yet. The night drags on, thick with unease. I lie there, covers drawn up, the weight of darkness pressing against the windows. Each sound, every creak, every distant rustle sends a chill up my spine. I try to steady my breathing, to convince myself that the world outside is empty, that I'm safe within these walls. But the memory of those eyes, that silent figure, refuses to fade. I glance at the clock, 2:37 a.m. The minutes crawl by, each one stretching out, endless. My mind races, replaying every detail, the way the figure moved, how it seemed to slip closer when I wasn't looking, the tapping at the window, the glimpse of something pale just beyond the edge of the yard. I can't shake the feeling that I'm being watched, even now. I reach for my phone, the glow of the screen harsh in the darkness. No messages, no missed calls. I want to call someone, to hear another voice, but I know it's too late. Who would believe me anyway? I set the phone aside, listening to the silence, the low hum of the refrigerator in the next room. Outside, the wind picks up, rattling the branches against the house. Shadows shift and dance across the walls. I close my eyes, willing myself to sleep, but every time I drift close, I see those eyes, reflecting, unblinking, impossibly bright. My heart pounds, every muscle tense, as if bracing for something I can't see. Eventually, exhaustion wins. I slip into a restless sleep, dreams tangled with fear. I'm back on that road, headlights cutting through the dark, the figure waiting just beyond the reach of the light. No matter how fast I drive, it's always there, closer, closer, until it's right beside me, face pressed to the glass, mouth open in a silent scream. I wake with a start, sweat cold on my skin. The room is still dark, the clock now reading 4:12 a.m. I sit up, listening. The house is quiet, but the fear lingers, thick and heavy. I get up, moving through the house, checking every window, every door, everything is locked, just as I left it. I stand at the kitchen sink, staring out into the yard. The grass glistens with dew, the world still shrouded in night. I search the shadows, looking for any sign of movement, any hint that I'm not alone. But there's nothing, just the empty yard, the silent trees, the slow creep of dawn on the horizon. I make tea, the ritual soothing in its familiarity. The warmth seeps into my hands, grounding me, pulling me back from the edge. I sit at the table, sipping slowly, watching the sky lighten by degrees. Within each passing minute, the fear ebbs, replaced by a weary resignation. The night is almost over. I survived, but I know it's not finished. I can feel it, a presence just out of sight, waiting for the darkness to return. As the sun rises, I force myself to move through the motions of the day. Shower, breakfast, a half-hearted attempt at work. My thoughts drift, unfocused, always circling back to the night before. I try to distract myself. Music, television, anything to drown out the memory, but it's always there, lurking in the corners of my mind. I check the news, searching for any mention of strange sightings, missing persons, anything that might explain what I saw. There's nothing, just the usual headlines, the world moving on as if nothing has changed. I wonder if anyone else has seen it, if I'm the only one haunted by those eyes. By midday, the exhaustion catches up with me. I lie down, hoping for a nap, but sleep is elusive. Every time I close my eyes, I see that face, those hands pressed against the glass. I give up, pacing the house, restless and uneasy. The day passes in a blur. I try to convince myself it was a dream, a trick of the mind. But I know better. I can feel the fear, coiled tight in my chest, waiting for night to fall. As dusk approaches, the anxiety builds. I move through the house, checking every lock, every window, making sure the curtains are drawn tight. I turn on every light, banishing the shadows as best I can. But the darkness presses in, relentless, seeping through the cracks. I make dinner, but I'm not hungry. I eat anyway, forcing down each bite, trying to maintain some semblance of normalcy. The television murmurs in the background, voices and laughter that feel distant, unreal. I try to lose myself in the noise, but the fear is always there, just beneath the surface. Night falls. The world outside disappears, swallowed by darkness. I sit in the living room, lights blazing, every muscle tense. I listen, really listen, for any sound, any sign that I'm not alone. The house creaks and settles. The wind sighs against the windows, but nothing else. Just silence. I check the clock, 9:47 p.m. Still early, but I'm exhausted. I make my way to the bedroom, locking the door behind me, as if that could keep the fear at bay. I lie down, pulling the covers up, eyes fixed on the ceiling. I try to breathe, to relax, but sleep feels impossibly far away. The hours pass, slow and heavy. I drift in and out of uneasy dreams, always chased by that figure, always running, but never escaping. I wake often, heart racing, listening to the silence, waiting for the tapping to return. But tonight, there's nothing, just the darkness, the silence, and the memory of those eyes. As dawn breaks, I sit up, rubbing my eyes, the fear still lingering. I survived another night, but I know it's not over. I know it's waiting, out there in the dark, patient and silent. And I know, deep down, that it will come back. The next day, sunlight creeps through the curtains, painting the walls with pale gold. It should feel safe, should feel like a new beginning. But the air in the house is thick, heavy with the residue of last night's fear. I move slowly, every step echoing in the quiet, as if the house itself is holding its breath. I try to go about my morning. Coffee, toast, the ordinary rituals of waking up, but my hands shake as I butter the bread, and every shadow in the corner of my eye feels alive. I keep glancing at the windows, half expecting to see a pale face pressed against the glass. The memory of the tapping lingers. The sound was so deliberate, so patient. Not the wind, not a branch, something with intent. I replay it in my mind, the rhythm, the way it seemed to call to me, drawing me from sleep. I wonder if I imagined it. But deep down, I know I didn't. I force myself outside, hoping the morning air will clear my head. The yard is quiet, dew sparkling on the grass. I walk the perimeter, checking every window, every door. Nothing is out of place. No footprints, no sign that anyone or anything was here. But the feeling of being watched never fades. It's as if the shadows themselves are alive, shifting just out of sight. I make a list of chores, desperate for distraction. I mow the lawn, sweep the porch, water the plants. Each task grounds me, gives me something to focus on besides the fear. But every so often, I pause, heart pounding, certain I heard something, a whisper, a footstep, the faintest echo of that tapping. Inside, the house feels colder than before. I check the thermostat, but it's set as usual. I wrap myself in a sweater, trying to shake the chill. The silence presses in, thick and suffocating. I put on music, but it only makes the quiet seem deeper when it stops. I sit at the kitchen table, staring out the window. The sun is high now, the world outside bright and ordinary. But I can't shake the sense that something is wrong, that the house is different somehow. The rooms feel unfamiliar, the angles strange. I wonder if I'm losing my mind. I remember what the horror stories say, the ones about haunted houses, cursed objects, things that follow you home. I've always loved those stories, the way they play with fear, the thrill of being scared in the safety of your own room. But this is different. This is real. The fear de soothe is a living thing, coiling in my chest, whispering that I'm not alone. I try to call a friend, just to hear another voice. The phone rings and rings, but no one answers. I leave a message, my voice shaky, trying to sound casual. Hey, just checking in. Call me when you get a chance. I hang up, the silence louder than before. Afternoon drifts by in a haze. I try to read, to lose myself in someone else's story, but the words blur on the page. My mind keeps drifting back to the night before, the figure on the road, the tapping at the window, the pale face in the darkness. I wonder if it's still out there, waiting for night to fall. As the sun sets, the fear returns. It creeps in with the shadows, filling every corner of the house. I turn on every light, close every curtain, double-check every lock. I move from room to room, heart pounding, certain I'll find something waiting for me in the dark. Dinner is a struggle. I force down a few bites, my appetite gone. The television murmurs in the background, but I can't focus on the screen. Every sound makes me jump. A creak, a sigh, the distant howl of a dog. I remind myself that I'm safe, that nothing can get in. But the fear is relentless, a drumbeat in my chest. Night falls, and the house feels smaller, the walls closing in. I sit in the living room, lights blazing, every muscle tense. I listen for the tapping, for any sign that I'm not alone. The hours pass, slow and heavy. Midnight comes and goes. I check the clock, 1:13 a.m. I try to sleep, but every time I close my eyes, I see those eyes, reflecting, unblinking, impossibly bright. I toss and turn, sheets tangled around my legs. The fear is a weight on my chest, pressing down, making it hard to breathe. Then, just as I start to drift off, I hear it, a soft, deliberate tapping coming from the window. My heart stops. I sit up, listening, every muscle rigid. The tapping comes again, louder this time, insistent. I force myself to move, to get out of bed, feet cold on the floor. I creep through the house, every shadow a threat, every sound a warning. The tapping grows louder, more urgent. It's coming from the living room window. I stand in the doorway, heart pounding, staring at the curtains. The tapping stops. Silence. I wait, afraid to move, afraid to look. Slowly, I cross the room, each step heavy, the floor creaking beneath me. I reach for the curtain, hand shaking, and pull it aside. There's nothing there, just the empty yard, the darkness pressing in. I let out a shaky breath, relief and fear mingling in my chest. But as I turn away, I catch a glimpse, just for a moment, of something pale, something watching from the edge of the shadows. I freeze, heart racing, unable to move. The fear is back, stronger than ever, wrapping around me like a shroud. I close the curtains, back away, and return to bed, pulling the covers tight. I try to tell myself it's nothing, just my imagination. But I know what I saw. I know what's out there, and I know it's not finished with me yet. The next morning comes, but it doesn't bring relief. Sunlight filters weakly through the curtains, casting long shadows across the floor. I lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, heart still pounding from the night before. The tapping at the window, the glimpse of something pale in the yard. These memories cling to me, refusing to let go. I force myself to get up, my body heavy with exhaustion. Each step feels slow, deliberate, as if moving through water. I try to shake off the fear, but it lingers, a chill that settles deep in my bones. The house is quiet, too quiet, and every sound, a creak, a distant car, the hum of the refrigerator, feels amplified, sharper, more threatening. I make coffee, hands trembling as I pour the water. The routine helps, a small anchor in a world that suddenly feels unpredictable. I sit at the kitchen table, staring out the window, searching for any sign that last night, was just a bad dream, but the grass outside is undisturbed, the yard empty. Still, I can't shake the feeling that I'm being watched. As the day wears on, I try to distract myself. I clean, organize, scroll through my phone, but my mind keeps drifting back to the night, replaying every detail, the tapping, the pale face, the sense of something waiting just beyond the edge of the light. I wonder if anyone else has felt this way, if anyone else has experienced something they can't explain. It turns out I'm not alone. Many people report encounters with the unexplainable, moments that defy logic and reason. These experiences, often called paranormal, are more common than you might think. But what's even more unsettling is how these experiences can affect us, how they can seep into our thoughts, our feelings, our sense of safety. Research shows that people who believe in the paranormal often experience higher levels of stress and anxiety. The mind, when faced with something it can't understand, tries to make sense of it, sometimes by filling in the gaps with fear, with stories, with shadows that move just out of sight. For some, these beliefs offer comfort, a way to impose order on a chaotic world. But for others, they can become a source of distress, feeding a cycle of fear and uncertainty. Sometimes, these experiences are linked to moments of trauma or high stress. Like dissociation, paranormal encounters can be triggered by difficult events, especially in childhood. The mind, overwhelmed, creates meaning where there is none, or perhaps opens itself to sensations and perceptions that others might miss. This blurring of boundaries between reality and imagination, between what is seen and what is felt, can make the world feel unstable, unpredictable. There's even a name for people who seem to attract these experiences: haunted people syndrome. These are individuals who, over time, report repeated encounters with the supernatural. Their lives become a patchwork of strange events, apparitions, unexplained noises, feelings of being watched. Researchers believe this may be due to heightened sensitivity to stress and a tendency to interpret ambiguous events as paranormal. When one person in a family experiences something strange, it can spread. Others begin to notice odd things too, reinforcing the belief that something is truly happening. But belief in the paranormal isn't just about what happens outside. It's also about what happens inside. People who are more open to unusual experiences, who have vivid imaginations or struggle with anxiety, are more likely to interpret events as supernatural. This doesn't mean the experiences aren't real to them. In fact, the fear, the sense of presence, the chills and racing heart are all very real. The mind and body react as if the threat is genuine, even if there's no evidence of danger. I think about this as I move through my day, the fear never quite leaving. Every shadow, every flicker of movement at the edge of my vision makes my heart skip. I wonder if I'm becoming one of those people, haunted not just by what I saw, but by the possibility that I'll see it again. Night falls, and the anxiety builds. I check every lock, every window, making sure the curtains are drawn tight. The house feels smaller, the darkness pressing in from all sides. I try to distract myself. Music, television, anything to drown out the silence. But the fear is always there, lurking just beneath the surface. As I get ready for bed, I catch my reflection in the mirror. My eyes look tired, haunted. I wonder if anyone would believe me if I told them what happened. I wonder if I even believe it myself. I lie in bed, covers pulled up, listening to the night. Every sound is a threat, every shadow a warning. I try to remind myself that I'm safe, that nothing can get in. But the fear is relentless, a drumbeat in my chest. Then, just as I start to drift off, I hear it again, a soft, deliberate tapping coming from the window. My heart stops. I sit up, listening, every muscle rigid. The tapping comes again, louder this time, insistent. I force myself to move, to get out of bed, feet cold on the floor. I creep through the house, every shadow a threat, every sound a warning. The tapping grows louder, more urgent. It's coming from the living room window. I stand in the doorway, heart pounding, staring at the curtains. The tapping stops. Silence. I wait, afraid to move, afraid to look. Slowly, I cross the room, each step heavy, the floor creaking beneath me. I reach for the curtain, hand shaking, and pull it aside. There's nothing there, just the empty yard, the darkness pressing in. I let out a shaky breath, relief and fear mingling in my chest. But as I turn away, I catch a glimpse, just for a moment, of something pale, something watching from the edge of the shadows. I freeze, heart racing, unable to move. The fear is back, stronger than ever, wrapping around me like a shroud. I close the curtains, back away, and return to bed, pulling the covers tight. I try to tell myself it's nothing, just my imagination. But I know what I saw. I know what's out there, and I know it's not finished with me yet. Night falls again, as it always does, inevitable, inescapable. The world outside my window is swallowed by darkness, the familiar shapes of trees and fences melting into black. I move through the house, turning on every light, drawing every curtain tight. But still, the fear seeps in, quiet and relentless, settling in my chest like a stone. I try to anchor myself in the present. I listen to calming sounds, soft rain, gentle music, anything to drown out the silence that presses against the windows. Sometimes, I even play tracks designed for sleep, with binaural beats and flowing water, hoping the gentle rhythms will slow my racing heart and ease the tension in my mind. The science behind these sounds is fascinating. Certain frequencies, like 5 GHz theta waves, can help reduce anxiety and stress, while 3 GHz delta waves encourage deep relaxation and sleep. The brain, entrained by these frequencies, can drift into a calmer state, if only for a while. But tonight, nothing seems to help. My thoughts are restless, darting from one worry to the next. I remember reading that anxiety can hijack the mind, making it hard to focus, hard to let go. When fear takes over, the body responds with a fight-or-flight reaction, heart pounding, muscles tense, adrenaline flooding the system. The brain, flooded with noradrenaline, marks these moments as important, burning every detail into memory. That's why fear lingers, why it's so hard to forget the things that scare us. I lie in bed, eyes wide open, listening to the sound of my own breathing. Every creak of the house, every gust of wind outside makes my heart jump. I try to remind myself that this is just anxiety, that nothing is really out there. But the fear is real, and it's not so easily dismissed. I remember a story I heard once, a story about a mouse and a cat. The mouse, chased by the cat, feels the immediate terror of being hunted, but even after the cat disappears, the mouse remains on edge, never sure when the next danger will appear. That's the difference between fear and anxiety. Fear is sharp, immediate, tied to a moment. Anxiety is the lingering shadow, the sense that something could happen at any time. I wonder if that's what I'm feeling now. Not just fear of the figure outside my window, but the anxiety that it could return at any moment. The uncertainty gnaws at me, making it impossible to relax, impossible to sleep. I try the techniques I've read about, slow, deep breaths, focusing on the rise and fall of my chest. I repeat calming phrases in my mind. I am safe, I am okay, this will pass. Sometimes it helps, if only a little, but tonight the fear is stubborn, clinging to me like a second skin. The hours drag on, the darkness unbroken. I check the clock, 2:23 a.m. I close my eyes, willing myself to drift off, but every time I come close, a noise jolts me awake. My mind races, replaying the events of the past nights. The tapping at the window, the pale face in the yard, the sense of being watched. I remind myself that anxiety can play tricks on the mind, making shadows seem alive, turning ordinary sounds into threats. But the fear feels real, undeniable. I wonder how much longer I can go without sleep, how much longer I can live with this weight in my chest. I try to distract myself, thinking of other stories, tales of people who have faced their fears and survived. I imagine a gentle, warm light glowing in my chest, spreading through my body, filling me with courage and calm. I picture the light growing brighter with each breath, pushing back the darkness, soothing the fear. But even the light feels fragile tonight, flickering with every creak and sigh of the house. I listen to the rain, to the distant rumble of thunder, letting the sounds wash over me. The rhythm is soothing, almost hypnotic, and for a moment, I feel myself drifting, the fear fading into the background. Still, sleep is elusive. The fear remains, a constant companion, whispering that the night is not yet over. I pull the covers tighter, close my eyes, and try again. I breathe in, breathe out, letting the sound of the rain lull me, letting the imagined light fill me with warmth. I remind myself that I am safe, that the night will pass, that morning will come. And somewhere, in the space between waking and sleep, I find a moment of peace, a brief, fragile calm, like the eye of a storm. But even as I drift, I know the fear will return. The night is long, and the shadows are patient. Tonight, I try something different. I search for sounds that promise rest, music designed to ease the mind, to hush the anxieties that have haunted me night after night. I find a track, its gentle tones woven with binaural beats, theta and delta waves, layered with soft, monochromatic echoes, like the hush of an old black and white film. The music is meant to lull me back to sleep, to guide my mind into a peaceful rhythm, even if only for a little while. I let the sound fill the room, a gentle tide washing over the silence. It's said that binaural beats can reduce stress and anxiety, that the frequencies help entrain the brain, nudging it toward calmness and sleep. I don't know if it's science or wishful thinking, but right now, I'll take anything that might help. As the music plays, I close my eyes and breathe deeply. The world outside fades, replaced by the steady hum of sound and the slow, rhythmic beating of my heart. I try to let go of the fear, to let the music carry me somewhere softer, somewhere safer. But the mind is stubborn. Even as the sounds soothe me, memories flicker at the edges of my thoughts, the tapping at the window, the pale face in the darkness, the sense of being watched. I remind myself that fear is ancient, hardwired into us by evolution. It's not just about what's out there, but what's inside. The fear of the unknown, the loss of control, the isolation that comes when the world goes quiet. Horror stories tap into these fears, grounding them in reality before twisting them into something uncanny. My story is no different. The threat isn't just the figure outside, but the way it makes me question what's real, what's imagined, the way it makes the ordinary, my home, my bed, the night itself, feels strange and unsafe. The music shifts, the tones deepening, slowing. I focus on the sensation of my body sinking into the mattress, the warmth of the blanket, the softness of the pillow beneath my head. I try to imagine the fear as something outside of me, something I can watch from a distance, like a shadow passing across the wall. I remember what I've learned about fear and anxiety. The fight or flight response, the surge of adrenaline, the way the brain marks these moments as important, burning them into memory. But anxiety is different. It lingers, a shadow that follows me through the day, a whisper in the dark that something could happen at any moment. The music helps a little. The steady rhythm, the gentle waves, the promise of rest. I let myself drift, thoughts slowing, breath deepening. I imagine myself in a safe place, surrounded by light, the darkness kept at bay. But just as I start to relax, a thought creeps in. What if the fear is right? What if the thing outside is real, waiting for me to let my guard down? My heart races, muscles tensing, the calm shattered in an instant. I remind myself, this is what fear does. It hijacks the mind, makes every shadow a threat, every sound a warning. It's a survival instinct meant to keep me safe. But tonight, I want to rest. I want to let go. I focus on the music, on the sound of my own breathing. I count each breath, letting the numbers anchor me to the present. The fear is still there, but softer now, muted by the rhythm of the soundscape. For a moment, I feel weightless, suspended between waking and sleep. The fear fades, replaced by a gentle emptiness, a quiet that feels almost peaceful. I know the night is long and the shadows are patient, but for now, I let myself drift, carried by the music, wrapped in the promise of rest. The music continues, a soft current beneath the silence, and I let myself float on its gentle waves. My mind drifts, thoughts growing softer, lighter, as if they're dissolving into the darkness. For a little while, I almost believe I'm safe, that the night is just a night and nothing waits for me in the shadows. But fear is patient. It knows how to wait, how to slip in through the cracks when I least expect it. Even as my body relaxes, my mind remains alert, listening for the smallest sound, the faintest sign that I'm not alone. A branch scrapes against the siding. The house settles with a low groan. Each noise pulls me back, heart skipping, breath catching in my throat. I try to remind myself that these are just sounds, ordinary, harmless, the music of an old house at night. But my imagination is a powerful thing. It fills the silence with possibilities, with stories that twist and turn in the dark. I picture the figure outside, waiting just beyond the window, patient and silent. I remember its eyes, the way they caught the light, the way they seemed to see right through me. I wonder if it's still out there, hidden by the darkness, watching and waiting. The thought sends a chill down my spine, and I pull the covers tighter, as if that thin barrier could protect me from whatever waits outside. I think about the stories I've read, the ones that linger long after the last page is turned. The best horror isn't about monsters or ghosts. It's about the fear that lives inside us, the things we can't explain, the shadows we can't escape. It's about the way the mind can turn the familiar into something strange, the way a quiet night can become a battleground between reason and dread. I try to ground myself in the present. I focus on the feel of the sheets, the sound of the music, the slow rhythm of my breath. I remind myself that I am here now, and that the fear is just a feeling, powerful but not real. But the fear doesn't care about logic. It doesn't care about reason or reassurance. It lives in the body, in the racing heart, in the tightness in the chest, in the way the skin prickles and the muscles tense. It's primal, ancient, older than language or thought. I close my eyes, willing myself to let go, to surrender to the music and the darkness and the gentle pull of sleep. I imagine the fear as a shadow, drifting away, fading into the night. I picture myself surrounded by light, safe and warm, the darkness held at bay. For a moment, I almost believe it. The fear recedes, replaced by a soft, dreamlike calm. My thoughts grow hazy, drifting like leaves on a slow-moving stream. The music is a lullaby, each note a promise that I can rest, that I can let go. But then, a sound, soft, almost imperceptible, but unmistakable, a tapping, faint but deliberate, coming from the window. My eyes snap open, heart pounding. I lie perfectly still, listening, every muscle tense. The tapping comes again, a slow, steady rhythm that echoes through the room. It's not the wind, it's not a branch, it's something else, something with intent. I want to move, to get up and check, but fear holds me in place. I stare at the ceiling, breath shallow, listening as the tapping continues, patient and relentless. I imagine the figure outside, its pale face pressed to the glass, eyes shining in the darkness. I tell myself it's just my imagination, that the fear is playing tricks on me. But the sound is real as the pounding of my heart, as real as the sweat on my skin. The tapping stops. Silence rushes in, thick and suffocating. I wait, afraid to move, afraid to breathe. Minutes pass, each one stretching out, endless. Slowly, I sit up, feet touching the cold floor. I cross the room, every step heavy, every shadow a threat. I reach for the curtain, hands shaking, and pull it aside. The yard is empty. The darkness is complete, impenetrable. There's nothing there. No figure, no eyes, no sign that anything was ever there at all. Relief and fear mingle in my chest, a tangled knot of emotion. I close the curtain, back away, and return to bed, pulling the covers up to my chin. The music plays on, soft and soothing, but the fear is still there, lurking at the edges of my mind. I try to let it go, to surrender to the rhythm, to trust that the night will pass and morning will come, but I know the fear will return. It always does. And somewhere, out in the darkness, something is waiting. The hours drag on, the darkness outside pressing against the windows like a living thing. I lie in bed, eyes wide open, listening to the soft music, to the hush of my own breath, to the silence that seems to stretch on forever. Every so often, I think I hear something, a creak, a whisper, the faintest echo of that tapping. But when I listen closer, there's nothing, just the ordinary sounds of an old house settling into the night. I try to tell myself that it's over, that whatever was outside is gone. But the fear is stubborn, clinging to me like a shadow. My mind keeps circling back to the same questions, the same doubts. Was it real? Did I really see a face in the darkness, hear fingers drumming on the glass? Or was it just my imagination, fueled by sleeplessness and anxiety, turning every sound into a threat? I think about how fear works, how it can twist reality, make the familiar seem strange. The brain is a powerful thing, capable of conjuring monsters out of shadows, turning a simple noise into a warning. It's a survival mechanism, a way to keep us alert, to keep us safe. But sometimes it goes too far, and the fear becomes its own kind of danger, a loop that feeds on itself, growing stronger with every sleepless night. I try to break the cycle. I focus on the music, on the slow, steady rhythm, on the warmth of the blankets wrapped around me. I count my breaths, in and out, letting each one carry me a little further from the fear. I imagine the night as a tide, rising and falling, and I am floating, carried by the current, safe and weightless. But every so often, a thought slips in, sharp and cold. What if it comes back? What if tonight is just the beginning? I remember stories I've read about people who are haunted, not by ghosts or monsters, but by the memory of something they can't explain. The fear becomes a part of them, a constant companion, shaping the way they see the world. Every shadow is a warning, every silence a threat. The world becomes smaller, darker until it feels like there's nowhere left to hide. I wonder if that's what's happening to me, if I'm becoming one of those people marked by fear, unable to let go. The music shifts, the notes growing softer, more distant, as if the sound itself is fading into the night. I close my eyes, trying to surrender to the rhythm, to let the fear drift away. For a moment, I feel myself slipping, the edges of sleep blurring my thoughts, the world growing hazy and indistinct. But then, a noise, not the tapping this time, but something else. A creak, low and drawn out, as if someone is moving through the house. My eyes snap open, heart racing. I lie perfectly still, listening, every muscle tense. The sound comes again, closer now, a floorboard groaning under weight, a soft shuffle, the faintest hint of movement. I hold my breath, straining to hear, every sense on high alert. I try to tell myself it's nothing, just the house settling, the wind rattling the eaves, but the fear is back, sharp and immediate, flooding my body with adrenaline. I sit up, listening, eyes fixed on the door. The sound stops. Silence falls, heavy and absolute. I wait, counting the seconds, the minutes, afraid to move, afraid to breathe. Finally, I force myself to get up. I move through the house, every step careful, every shadow a threat. I check the windows, the doors, the locks. Everything is as it should be, secure, untouched. There's no sign that anyone or anything has been here, but the fear lingers, a ghost that refuses to leave. I return to bed, pulling the covers tight, listening to the music, to the silence, to the sound of my own heart beating in the dark. I remind myself that morning will come, that the night can't last forever. But in this moment, the darkness feels endless, the fear unbreakable, and somewhere out there, something is still waiting. I close my eyes, willing myself to sleep, to let go, to trust that I am safe. The music is a lullaby, a promise that the night will pass, that the fear will fade. But deep down, I know the truth. The fear is patient, and it always finds a way back in. Morning arrives quietly, almost apologetically, as if it knows it's intruding on a night that never truly ended. The first light seeps through the curtains, pale and hesitant, chasing away the shadows, but not the memory of fear. I lie in bed, eyes open, feeling the ache of exhaustion in every bone. The music has stopped, leaving only silence and the steady thump of my own heartbeat. I sit up slowly, the room unfamiliar in the gray dawn. Every object seems sharper, more defined, as if the night has stripped away the comfort of routine. I run my hand over my face, trying to shake off the fog of sleeplessness, but the fear lingers, woven into the fabric of the morning. I move through the house, opening curtains, letting in the weak sunlight. The world outside looks unchanged. Quiet street, empty yard, nothing out of place. But I can't shake the feeling that something is different, that the night has left a mark I can't see. I make coffee, the ritual grounding me, the bitter smell filling the kitchen. I watch the steam rise from the mug, swirling in the light, and try to convince myself that it's over. That the tapping, the creaks, the sense of being watched were just tricks of the mind, born from too many sleepless nights and too much anxiety. But as I sip the coffee, I notice something strange, a faint smudge on the living room window, just at the edge of my vision. I set the mug down, heart pounding, and walk over to look. There, on the glass, are the faintest marks, long, thin streaks, as if something dragged its fingers down the pane. My breath catches. I reach out, touching the glass, feeling the cold beneath my fingertips. The marks are real, not just condensation or dust, but something deliberate, something that shouldn't be there. A chill runs through me, colder than the morning air. I back away, heart racing, every instinct screaming that I am not alone. I try to tell myself it's nothing, that there's a rational explanation, maybe a bird, maybe a branch, maybe something else. But the fear is back, sharp and immediate, erasing any comfort the daylight might have brought. I spend the day in a haze, moving through the motions of life, but never really present. Every noise makes me jump. Every shadow makes my skin crawl. I check the window again and again, but the marks remain, a silent reminder that something was here, something that doesn't belong. I search for answers, scrolling through forums and articles, looking for stories like mine. I find them, tales of tapping at windows, of faces in the dark, of marks left behind by things that shouldn't exist. Some people call it sleep paralysis. Others say it's a haunting, a glitch in reality, a thin place where the world wears thin and something else slips through. The explanations don't help. If anything, they make it worse. The fear grows, fed by the stories, by the knowledge that I am not alone in my experience. I wonder if this is how it starts, if this is how people become haunted, not just by what they see, but by the knowledge that something is out there, waiting. As the day fades, anxiety builds, the sun sets, and the house fills with shadows. I turn on every light, check every lock, draw every curtain tight. The marks on the window glow faintly in the lamplight, impossible to ignore. I try to distract myself, music, television, anything to drown out the silence. But the fear is always there, lurking just beneath the surface, waiting for the night to fall. When bedtime comes, I hesitate. I stand in the hallway, staring at my bedroom door, afraid to go in, afraid to turn off the lights. I force myself to move, to keep going, to pretend that everything is normal. I lie in bed, covers pulled up, listening to the house settle around me. Every sound is amplified, every shadow a threat. I close my eyes, trying to breathe, trying to let go, but the fear is relentless, wrapping around me like a shroud. Then, just as I start to drift off, I hear it, a soft, deliberate tapping coming from the window. My eyes snap open. I lie perfectly still, listening, heart pounding. The tapping comes again, slow and patient, as if whatever is outside knows I am awake. I want to scream, to run, to do anything but lie here in the dark, listening to that sound. But fear holds me in place, paralyzed, unable to move. The tapping stops, silence falls, heavy and absolute. I wait, counting the seconds, the minutes, afraid to breathe, afraid to look. Finally, I force myself to sit up, to cross the room, to pull back the curtain. The yard is empty. The darkness is complete, impenetrable. There's nothing there. No figure, no eyes, no sign that anything was ever there at all. But the marks on the glass remain, a silent promise that the night is not finished with me yet. I close the curtain, back away, and return to bed, pulling the covers tight. I try to tell myself it's nothing, just my imagination. but I know what I saw. I know what I heard, and I know that somewhere, out in the darkness, something is waiting. Sleep is shallow, uneasy, broken by fragments of dreams that slip away as soon as I wake. I see flashes of pale faces in the dark, hear the echo of tapping, feel the cold press of fear against my chest. Each time I surface from sleep, the room feels colder, the silence heavier, as if the night itself is pressing in on me. When morning finally comes, I'm not sure I've truly slept at all. My body aches, my mind foggy and slow. The marks on the window are still there, faint but undeniable, catching the light as the sun rises. I stare at them, heart pounding, trying to convince myself that there's a rational explanation. But the fear is too deep now, too familiar. I go through the motions of the day, but everything feels distant, unreal. I try to focus on work, on chores, on anything that might anchor me to the present. But my thoughts keep drifting back to the window, to the tapping, to the sense of being watched. I find myself jumping at every sound, the clatter of dishes, the ring of the phone, the creak of the floorboards. Each noise makes my heart race, my breath catch. I check the locks again and again, making sure the doors and windows are secure. But the fear is inside now, woven into the fabric of my mind. I search for answers, desperate for something that will make sense of what's happening. I read about sleep disorders, about anxiety, about the ways the mind can trick itself. I learn about hypnagogic hallucinations, visions and sounds that come in the space between waking and sleep. I read about pareidolia, the tendency to see faces in shadows, to find patterns where none exist. But none of it feels right. The fear is too real, too immediate. The marks on the window are proof. Something was here, something that left a trace. I remember a story I read once about a man who was haunted by a shadowy figure. He tried everything, science, reason, prayer, but nothing worked. The figure always returned, always botched, always waited. The story ended not with an explanation, but with a question. What if some things aren't meant to be understood? What if the fear is the point? The thought lingers, unsettling and oddly comforting. Maybe there is no answer. Maybe the fear is just part of being human, a shadow we all carry, a reminder that the world is bigger and stranger than we can ever know. As the day fades, the anxiety returns. I move through the house, turning on lights, checking locks, drawing curtains. The marks on the window glow in the lamplight, a silent warning. I try to distract myself, but nothing works. The fear is a drumbeat, steady and relentless. Night falls, and the house feels smaller, the darkness pressing in. I sit in the living room, lights blazing, every muscle tense. I listen for the tapping, for any sign that I'm not alone. The hours pass, slow and heavy. Midnight comes and goes. I check the clock, 1:37 a.m. I try to sleep, but every time I close my eyes, I see those eyes, reflecting, unblinking, impossibly bright. I toss and turn, sheets tangled around my legs. The fear is a weight on my chest, pressing down, making it hard to breathe. Then, just as I start to drift off, I hear it again, a soft, deliberate tapping coming from the window. My heart stops, I sit up, listening, every muscle rigid. The tapping comes again, louder this time, insistent. I force myself to move, to get out of bed, feet cold on the floor. I creep through the house, every shadow a threat, every sound a warning. The tapping grows louder, more urgent. It's coming from the living room window. I stand in the doorway, heart pounding, staring at the curtains. The tapping stops. Silence. I wait, afraid to move, afraid to look. Slowly, I cross the room, each step heavy, the floor creaking beneath me. I reach for the curtain, hands shaking, and pull it aside. There's nothing there, just the empty yard, the darkness pressing in. I let out a shaky breath, relief and fear mingling in my chest. But as I turn away, I catch a glimpse, just for a moment, of something pale, something watching from the edge of the shadows. I freeze, heart racing, unable to move. The fear is back, stronger than ever, wrapping around me like a shroud. I close the curtains, back away, and return to bed, pulling the covers tight. I try to tell myself it's nothing, just my imagination. But I know what I saw. I know what's out there, and I know it's not finished with me yet. Tonight, I decide I can't keep living in this cycle of fear. The marks on the window, the relentless tapping, the sense of something watching from the darkness, it's all become too much. I know I need to find a way to reclaim my mind, to take back the night and make it my own again. I remember something I heard once about how our minds can be retrained, how we can shift our focus and change our experience, even in the face of fear. The idea is simple but powerful. Where you place your attention is where you place your energy. If I keep feeding the fear, it will only grow stronger. But if I can shift my focus, even for a moment, maybe I can find some peace. So I try something new. I lie down, close my eyes, and let my body sink into the mattress. I slow my breathing, feeling the rise and fall of my chest, the gentle rhythm anchoring me to the present. I imagine a safe place, a sanctuary, real or imagined, where nothing can reach me. Maybe it's a quiet forest, sunlight streaming through the trees. Maybe it's a cozy room, warm and inviting, with the soft crackle of a fireplace and the scent of old books in the air. I let the details fill in slowly, the colors, the textures, the sounds, the softness of the chair beneath me, the gentle hum of distant music, the feeling of absolute safety. I picture myself here, completely at ease, every muscle relaxing, every worry fading away. I breathe in, feeling the air fill my lungs, and breathe out, letting go of the fear, the anxiety, the memories of the night. For a few moments, I almost believe it. My heart slows, my mind grows quiet. The fear is still there, but it feels smaller, less powerful. I remind myself that I can return to this place whenever I need to, that I can create my own sense of safety, even in the darkest hours. As I lie there, I reflect on what I've learned. Fear is a part of being human. It's ancient, primal, a survival instinct that has kept us alive for millennia. But it doesn't have to control me. I can choose where to place my attention, what stories to tell myself, what emotions to nurture. I think about the science behind this. When we focus on fear, our brains shift into high gear, stuck in a loop of stress and survival. But when we slow down, breathe deeply, and imagine a safe place, we can move into a calmer state, opening the door between the conscious and subconscious mind. Here, we can rewrite the script, rehearse new behaviors, and begin to heal. It's not easy. The fear doesn't disappear overnight. But with practice, I can learn to settle my body, to bring my mind back to the present, to remind myself that I am safe, right here, right now. The night is still long, the darkness is still deep, but as I drift towards sleep, I hold on to the image of my safe place, the feeling of calm, the knowledge that I have some control, even in the face of the unknown. I breathe in, breathe out, and let the fear fade, if only for a little while. Sleep comes easier tonight, gentle and slow, as if the act of imagining safety has softened the edges of my fear. I drift in and out of dreams, the boundaries between waking and sleeping blurred by exhaustion and relief. In my dreams, the tapping at the window is only the wind, the pale face in the darkness only a trick of moonlight. For the first time in days, I wake with the faint memory of peace. But as the sun rises and light spills across the floor, the fear creeps back in, subtle, persistent, like a shadow that never quite disappears. I move through the house, half expecting to find new marks on the window, new evidence that the night was not as peaceful as I hoped. But the glass is clean, the yard empty, the world quiet in the soft glow of morning. I cling to the calm I found last night, replaying the feeling of safety, the image of my sanctuary. I remind myself that fear is just a feeling, that it can't hurt me unless I let it. But the memory of those nights, the tapping, the watching, the sense of being hunted, still lingers, a ghost in the back of my mind. I decide to take a walk, to put some distance between myself and the house, to see if the world outside can offer a new perspective. The air is crisp, the sky a pale blue, and the trees sway gently in the breeze. With each step, the tension in my body eases, the rhythm of my footsteps grounding me in the present. As I walk, I think about how fear changes us, how it sharpens our senses, makes us hyper-aware of every sound, every movement, every flicker of shadow. It's a survival instinct, but it can also become a prison, keeping us trapped in a cycle of anxiety and hypervigilance. I wonder how many people live like this, haunted not by ghosts, but by their own minds. I pass neighbors on the street, their faces open and untroubled. I wonder if they've ever felt what I feel, if they've ever lain awake at night, listening for sounds that shouldn't be there. I want to ask, to share my story, but the words catch in my throat. Fear is isolating, a secret we carry alone. Back at home, I open the windows, letting fresh air fill the rooms. I clean, organize, rearrange the furniture, small acts of control in a world that feels unpredictable. Each task is a reminder that I am here, that I am safe, that I can shape my environment, even if I can't control the darkness outside. As evening approaches, the anxiety returns. The sun sets, the shadows lengthen, and the old fear stirs in my chest. But tonight, I am determined to face it differently. I sit quietly, lights low, breathing deeply, letting the fear rise and fall without trying to push it away. I remember something I read once, that the only way out is through, that sometimes the bravest thing we can do is sit with our fear, to let it wash over us, to see what's on the other side. I close my eyes, feeling the fear like a wave, rising and cresting, and then ebbing away. The house is quiet, the night deep. I listen for the tapping, for any sign that I am not alone. But all I hear is the sound of my own breath, slow and steady, anchoring me to the present. I remind myself that fear is not the enemy. It's a part of me, a signal that I am alive, that I care about my safety, my future, my place in the world. I thank the fear for trying to protect me, and then I let it go, just for a moment, just long enough to breathe. Tonight, I will sleep again. I will imagine my sanctuary, my safe place, Toles, and I will trust that the night will pass, that the morning will come, that I am stronger than the shadows that haunt me. And if the tapping returns, if the pale face appears in the darkness, I will face it, not with panic, but with curiosity, with compassion, with the knowledge that I am not alone. Because fear is a story we tell ourselves. And tonight, I am ready to write a new one.